everybody, and welcome to Hex Token channel. Hope you guys are doing well out there, and of course don't forget to subscribe on the way in. Smash that like button as well, and of course hit the bell for future videos. If you want to share the channel around, get on to it. The other thing, of course, is if you haven't joined the membership, hit the join button. We've got PulseChain, Hexkins, and the Richard Hart Club, so definitely get into that. And I just saw we got a renewal membership there earlier there from Hex Force 1, so we're going to get into that. Let's get into the chat, folks. We're going to be covering, obviously, the stock market and, of course, the jitters, the wobbles before the Fed meeting on the 1st. Probably even more critical after having those 450 basis point rises last year. We've had a nice big 6-week gap, I think it is approximately. Yeah, 6 weeks since the last one. And, of course, we have had a pretty good January for the most part. And let's see how we go. Mate, this is doing exactly what we said last week, right? Said that it would pull back. People would get a bit nervous. Exactly what we have seen played out. So very predictable stuff. We're going to talk about, obviously, stock market. We're going to have a quick sneak peek, a special topic today. We're going to have a quick look at the U.S. national debt. Obviously, the higher interest rates, you know, the more debt costs, right? We're also going to have a quick look at Hex, of course, the ecosystem. Not a quick look, quite a decent look. Then we're going to jump into Hedron and Icosa. And, of course, we're going to wrap up with a PulseChain project update there. And in this case, it's going to be Fiat. We're going to be looking at Fiat. Fiat's a fork of Aave. And then finally, I said wrap up, but finally we're going to head up with the Hex Daily Stats. So that's our lineup for today. Hope you guys enjoy it. We've got Lies Beneath in the house. Good to see you, Lies. Hello, how are you today? Very, very good. And of course, Lies Beneath always brings us the alpha strategy, which is Hex, EHEX, PLS, and PLX for the win, 100%. That is pretty awesome. Let's see who else is in here. We've got Hex Force 1, obviously just became a member. In other words, renewed, because I'm pretty sure the Hex Force 1's been around for a long time as a member. I do appreciate the support. Hey, Superman says Hex Force 1. Woo! Definitely awesome stuff. Really do appreciate the support to Hex Force 1. And of course, let's see who else is in here. We've got Kiwi Crypto NZ. Rock, hope you're safe there in good old New Zealand. Hope you're safe there with the weather. Obviously, all the floods. Turns out that about 4 people have passed away in New Zealand. Not exactly sure how those occurred, but that did happen. Sometimes people are in the wrong place at the wrong time or get caught up in something. It's a very unfortunate loss of life. And I know that, you know, it's been raining a heck of a lot. So go Pulse Hex win as well. Hi, all. Good to see you. And always a pleasure. Ted Nelson in the house there. Evening, everybody. I'm going to make a TED tracker every time I DCA and the price goes down a day later. Ugh, says Ted Nelson. Well, that's why you watch this channel, so that you know that when things like the Fed come up, Ted, that the price is likely to go down. So that's a good reason to watch this channel. What up? Take me to the paradise, please, says Bright Crypto. Good to see you also. PulseChain Paradise. Is it PulseChain Paradise? I think so. Brendan Essex and House there, Morning Superman and family. Is this another thumbnail from Sailor? Maybe. No, that thumbnail from Sailor was pretty epic, actually. That bull, man, that was one of the best images I've seen. That bull was pretty impressive there from Michael Saylor. This one is not from Michael Saylor. It is just from the internet. Wookie in the house there. Just to make it clear, that's not Wookie on the thumbnail. That is true. It's a wobbly bear. A wobbly bear. That's what it is. Sandy Beach in the house there. Huge congratulations, Sandy Beach. 3,000 members on Twitter. And because a rising star, rising influencer on Twitter, I really do excited about where Sandy Beach is heading. Also one of our community moderators, of course, on this channel and many other channels. But yeah, awesome stuff there, Sandy Beach. You'll be right up there with KDP and Havida and all the others up there spreading the word. I think you're destined for #1 there, Sandy. I think you're destined for #1. Hello, Hex Token and everybody. Woohoo! We got Michael R in the house there. A big special shout out to Michael R. I did post on Discord. Michael R has boosted the Discord all the way up. I think was it 6 or 7 booths all the way up to level 3 on Discord. We've got all the full features now. I really do appreciate that support on the channel for the community. And of course, Discord is free and it's all about the community, all about information. We've got all the links there. I'm actually adding a new link there today on one of the useful links. So really it's going to be pretty cool. And a big shout out to Michael for that huge support for the community. Very, very excited. Brendan says, sorry to those who lost their lives. Yeah, I was a bit surprised that that we had anybody lose their life in the floods, but that's what happens. Sometimes floods can catch you out, depending where you are. All sorts of different scenarios that isn't there. Brennan's in house there and loved ones. Absolutely, absolutely. Sandy Beach says, I'm 3 followers away from 3,000 followers on Twitter. Okay, you're not quite made. I thought you would have made it by now. Definitely follow Sandy Beach _369 on Twitter and see whether Sandy Beach can get there. Definitely do that. Hey KD, hey all, it's good to see you, Suitman. Hope all is well and you're drying out in New Zealand. Yeah, it's not that rainy today. I think they were predicting rain today, but so far it doesn't seem to have appeared. It's fairly quiet outside. Soon but not yet. That's true. Soon but not yet. Hi, Suitman says Dave Dunder, waiting with anticipation from RH next Twitter update. I've keep checking. Yeah, well, he's been very quiet. Richard has. I did go through yesterday. Went through all the PulseChain updates. You know, we've had the validator, we've had the block explorer, we've had the Aragon syncing. That's pretty cool. And some people, particularly on Twitter, are talking about PulseChain just launching by surprise. You know, because Richard sometimes he does that. But this is the first fork of the proof of stake. I do not see them going to live. I don't think they're very prudent. I do expect to see a substantial testnet v3 for that. Can't see any way around that. Anyone see the Project Veritas video of the big farm execs? Well, it's a crypto channel, so we're going to keep to that. That DGen, appreciate it though. I have seen that and spread that around on my Twitter. But remember, this is a crypto channel, so we try to keep it focused on that. Thanks for the heads up. All right, cool. Let us go as much as possible. I mean, every so often we talk a little politics, but I'm just trying to keep that down at the moment. Stock market today, Dow wobbles on jitter ahead of Fed meeting. A big tech earnings in the house. So this was expected. We said this last week. Said this on commentary last week. This is what's occurred. Let's have a quick look at the markets. The Dow Jones, the top 30 industrials, is down 0.77%, so almost 0.8%, down 261 points to 33,717 on the Dow Jones. The S&P 500 down 1.3% at 53 points almost at 4,117, still holding over that 4,000 mark. The Nasdaq with all the tech companies in it is down almost 2% at 228 points, down to 11,393. Pretty predictable, isn't it? Isn't it pretty predictable to see this happen? And no surprise there. The dollar, of course, with risk off, people risk off there is up about a third of a percent to 102 points versus the trading partners there. Let's have a look at the commodities. We've got Brent oil there is up just slightly, 15 cents to $84.58. West Texas, however, is down 2.35%, down almost $2 to $77.81. Gold there is down 50 cents to $1,922. And silver is up 6.8 cents to $23.69. Now, if you see a lot of commentators around silver, many of them are very bullish around silver, but I do think that is predicate on the Fed pivoting and the US dollar tanking pretty much. But that a lot of people are quite bullish on there. I'm not sure if there's any other particular drivers, but that is the play. Kiyosaki, of course, a long time ago, talking about 5 to 25x returns on silver. And of course, I think he kind of phrased it as like the poor man's investment or something. If you want to make some mad gains in the old commodities. But that is where that is at. All right, so cool. Let's jump over to the investing.com commentary. The Dow closed lower Monday as investors were reluctant to load up on bullish bets ahead of the Federal Reserve decision and further quarterly earnings from big tech this week. So last week was obviously very bullish and green, and of course all the markets were going up. Crypto did pretty well. It was a little bit sad, I guess, on Saturday for crypto, and then of course on Sunday my time, or Sunday I guess your time, US time, it actually rallied. So that's Monday my time. The crypto rallied there, and of course now back down. So we're going to talk about that in a second. So the Federal Reserve kicks off its two-day meeting on Tuesday, but the prospect of a downshift to a 25 basis point rate hike almost priced in for Wednesday. So we've talked about that. Market's probably expecting 25 basis points, and that's what we're expecting. Investors are expecting Fed Chairman Jerome Powell to signal more hikes ahead and push back against expectations that the Fed could cut rates later this year. The 25 basis point rate hike is priced into the market, said chief strategist at Spouting Rock Asset Management. And of course, if Powell says we're not nearly done yet, then the market is going to sell off even more. That is the risk, right? So the market will sell off even more. The market's very fickle like that. So imagine if it was 50 basis points, or whether it was 25, but it's got a hawkish outlook, then the market's going to sell off again, and that could do that for a couple of days, right? It's going to do some little hissy fit. It's going to have a hissy fit, and away it goes. And some of the big January performance of the more longer duration assets will sell off, which is basically tech, right? So that is the kicker there, and they'll just sell off. Technology was the biggest laggard ahead of the pivotal week as the bulk of tech reports quarterly results. So technology was the biggest laggard ahead of a pivotal week as the bulk of big tech reports quarterly results this week, with Meta platforms reporting results on Wednesday, followed by Alphabet, Apple, and Amazon on Thursday. So some of those after the meeting there. Apple, which fell 2% but is up 14% year to date, is expected to by some on Wall Street to have benefit from the easing supply chain and a weaker dollar, though iPhone revenue was likely challenged by production challenges in China. We expect iPhone revenue was challenged due to a well-publicized production challenges at an assembly facility for the iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max. However, management had expected silicon shortages to be immaterial for the quarter, so we believe the company was able to meet demand for Mac and iPad, and that's from Credit Suisse there. Tech was also dragged lower by chip stocks amid pressure from weakness in advanced micro devices ahead of the chip makers' results due Tuesday, as sentiment on semis soured following the dire results of Intel Corporation last week. And of course, semis being semiconductors. GE Healthcare Technology reported its maiden earnings after it was spun off as a public company for General Electric. The healthcare technology and diagnosis company reported Q4 earnings of $1.31 on revenue of $4.9 billion. Some pretty big revenue numbers, US dollars. Energy stocks also played a role in the broader market sell-off as oil prices fell more than 2% ahead of rate hikes by major central banks expecting this week, and still strong Russian oil exports. Marathon Oil Corporation, OPC, and Devon Energy were amongst the worst decliners, with the latter down more than 4%. In other news, the Ford Motor Company fell nearly 3% on worries about waning demand after the company cut prices of its electric Mustang Mach-E crossover. Mustang must be pretty good. I haven't actually seen that one, but sounds good to me. Let me know if you own one. All right, so cool. That is pretty much that. Let's jump over into the watch here. So we've got the Fed meeting. This is the big deal. This is why the market's pulling back. It was expected to be more likely than not, and that's what's happened. 1 day and 19 hours to go, ticking away until the next FOMC meeting. So we've still got a bit of time there. We'll wait for that. Let's see what the market does. Keeps pricing itself down. Now you get double whammy, right? Because the market sells off leading up to the meeting. If the news is bad, the market's going to continue selling off. That's the risk that you take. That's why some people are selling off now. Now, obviously, if they're not as hawkish on the meeting, then the market might rally afterwards a little bit. So we'll see. That's kind of where we are at the moment. All right, so let's have a look at, this is a little bit of a special feature, the US debt clock. Some of you have probably seen this before, but look at the top left there. So we're talking about interest rate rises, but of course, what does that affect? The people that affects the most is normally debt, particularly if it's not fixed rates, it's at variable rates. Look at that US national debt there, $31 trillion, $31.5 trillion. It just keeps ticking. People call it a bit like a time bomb. Obviously, many commentators, some of them doomsayers almost, expecting this to eventually take its toll. Will that be one of the things that cause the end to the super cycle? So when I say super cycle, I mean that we've had booms and busts in the market, and they keep going, boom, up and bust. So bull market, bear market, bull market, bear market. But eventually, that cycle may very well end because of the debt burden. Whether that's going to happen or not is another question. But of course, people are thinking that's going to be a reckoning at some stage. It kind of makes sense if you think about your balance sheet. You got assets and you got liabilities. Liabilities including those debts. And of course, that's one of the big issues, that there's too much. So the debt per citizen, $94,000 per citizen in the US. Now, this is based on certain assumptions about the population, of course. This is based on citizenship, no doubt. Obviously, there's a lot of people there illegally in the United States. Probably 30 to 40 million people is probably somewhere up there, is my guess. Debt per taxpayer, quarter of 246,000 debt per taxpayer. 246, isn't that insane? That's insane. Now, why is that even more insane? Because when you come down to here and you look at median income and this green line here, you see that the average income is 35,694, but you got the debt per taxpayer at $246,000. So it's pretty insane from that point of view. Now, is that going to take it down? Not necessarily, of course, and it doesn't, because it's obviously this high, but you can still see it climbing and climbing and climbing. Pretty crazy there. What's some of the other interesting things here? Interest on debt, net debt there. You can see it's 525 billion US dollars. That is the interest on debt. That's like so many times bigger than the national GDP of many countries, most of the countries around the world. Pretty crazy. Now, what else do we see that's pretty interesting? We see all these liabilities down the bottom here. Let me just, don't know why that's popped up. We can see all these liabilities down here. We've got social security liability, $22 trillion. Medical liability, $35 trillion. US unfunded liabilities, $181 trillion. The liability per citizen. So we talked about the debt being 246,000 here for the US national debt. That's the equivalence. But the liability per citizen is 541,000 US dollars. Like I say, let's come back to the median income, 35,694. So it's pretty kind of crazy stuff there at the moment. US gross domestic product, its national income, 26 trillion. And of course, the population in the United States, based on the official numbers at least, 334 million. But give or take 20, 40 million, something like that. That's probably where that is. So 334 million people there. I guess that's based on citizenship. So that is some of the interesting numbers. There's plenty of really interesting numbers on this dashboard. I thought I'd just highlight a few of those. Pretty crazy there. Look at the total unfunded debt interest here. That's $3.7 trillion in total interest paid. Pretty crazy there. Pretty crazy as well. So some really insane numbers in this here. Will it eventually come to a reckoning? We will see in the future. So something for you to think about. And of course, the higher the interest rates go, I guess that flows through all this debt and liability and that makes the picture worse, right? Makes the picture worse. Will that help to cap some of the activity? We will see. We will see from the Fed. All right, let's get into crypto. Before we do that, though, let's see any comments from the community and watching. We've got 47 people watching at the moment. Big shout out to everybody, and welcome to today's live stream. Let's see what else here. We got jump through all that. We've got Christian in the house there. Hey, Christian, good to see you. Hello, familia, and of course, displays in the house there. Bitcoin 10,000K happens. The bottom could be 2 years away. Hex bottom could be 1/10 of a penny. Yeah, that I guess is the bearish scenario there. But of course we have PulseChain coming, so it's not completely free of lacking fundamentals. PSI says rains in New Zealand and radioactive materials all over the roads in Australia. What's going on down there? Says yeah, I haven't heard anything about the radioactive materials in Australia on the road. Obviously they're basically Australia's one big mineral deposit, but you haven't seen anything on that. Woohoo! Thank you everybody. I hit 3,000 followers. Well done, Sandy Beach. Well done to you. That is awesome stuff. And onwards and upwards, onwards and upwards. That's a pretty good following. And yeah, just keep up the tweets. Get up those PulseChain, PulseX, and Hex tweets to keep tweeting all the art and all the other stuff that you do. Entertainment's very cool. Go for gold on that one. Smash those likes, says KD. Definitely smash the likes. Let's jump through this. Christian says, all this means that this country will be in debt forever and the American people will be screwed forever, says Christian. Yeah, that's possibly true too. They could definitely keep it going for a long period of time. Maybe they'll do some sort of rebasing or something like that. That's always possible there. Archipelago says, hey friends, I hope everybody is well. Thanks for being you, Superman. Your authenticity and consistency is much appreciated. Hey, you're welcome, Archipelago. As you guys know, I enjoy this stuff as much as you guys do, and yeah, I'll be around for a long time, I'm sure, in the future to come. Barring making my maker, that would be the case. So big shout out to you. Greetings from sunny Miami. Humberto Gonzalez in the house. Always a pleasure. The crypto capital of the world. We love it. We love it. There is the Discord. Yeah, if you want to, we got a free Discord. Really, it's about the community. It's about you guys. And of course, you guys make it happen. And there's been some good audio chats in there as well. It's a bit like Twitter Spaces, but way more controlled and where more people get to speak and spread their word. And of course, you don't have a lot of the trolls and other things going on there, fudsters and stuff like that. So it's a very good place. Sandy Beach wants to say a big thank you to everybody. Hey, appreciate that, Sandy. Well done to you. It really takes a bit of work to get up to 3,000 followers. So well done on that. Brennan's in house there. Always feel smarter listening to Superman, says Brennan. I appreciate that, Brennan. A big shout out to you. And we need to move like ninjas, says Christian. Like ninjas, I like that. What else there? Humberto says, any comments on rumors that V3 will not be a testnet, that I could be actual launch? Yeah, I talked about that earlier, just before you came, Humberto, actually, probably maybe about 10 minutes. That would just not be prudent. Imagine you get all the clients up. So you got Lighthouse, you got Prism, you got Geth, you got Aragon, you got all these clients up. You've got the engine working between them, the scripts all running. You got your nodes synced and you validated your base, your early valos synced, and then you've got to change all the scaling of the numbers to trillions rather than millions, all that sort of stuff, and all the hardware behind that. You think you're just going to launch that and just go live with the mainnet? Nah, you're going to be testing it. It's going to be the first fork of the Ethereum proof of stake. It would be reckless to launch it without a testnet, because you could have bugs or anything go on there. You've got to have your third-party dApps also test their stuff on there. There's lots of issues around that. So don't see that happening anytime soon. I talked about that earlier. It would, they should be getting a proper testnet there. Richard hasn't mentioned anything. I think it would be pretty reckless to do otherwise. Australia Treasury is reinventing capitalism, and God help us, glad I have some Hex, says Blobfish King. Yeah. You mean you will own nothing and be happy? Is that what you mean, Blobfish King? Thank you, Superman, says Humberto. You're welcome. All right, let's get into it. We got BTC at 22,834. Man, this thing was back up at 33,850 or so. So it is down quite a bit there, 3.91%. Still holding up pretty nicely, but definitely down leading into the Federal Reserve meeting. Ethereum at 1569, down 4.4%. BNB at 307, down 2.7%. We got a lot of the red ones, some of the ones that did quite well, Solana, DOT, and AVAX, all down pretty much here. Solana down to $23.96, down 8.3%. You can see AVAX down 5% to $19.87. Let's have a look at some others here. The stables are holding pegged. Oh, USDC, look at that. It's at a premium there. $1.02, so up 3.6% there. Risk off, eh? That's what happens with the risk off. And way to go. We got Matic there down 7%, 7.3 down to $1.08 on the Matic. What else is interesting here? Crow, crypto.com is a 5.9, almost 6% down at 7.7 cents on Crow there. And Aave there is down 7.4% as well. So quite a few down, not heading towards the double digits almost, not quite. But down there at the moment. Now, what's some standouts? I see a little green one here standing out. What's this? TMG? I'm not sure what this is, but 24% at 82 cents. So something's going on there. Some sort of news there going with TMG. I don't know what it is. Maybe you could check it out after the live stream and see what's happening there. Let's jump into the BCC chart. Oh, man, look at this. We had such a nice little run up. We consolidated. We powered up. Bitcoin did. And then we're edging our way higher. Yesterday we got as high as 23,966. So I said 23,850. We actually got higher than that, 23,966, almost 24,000. But of course, the risk off with the Fed meeting coming up, it was expected, honestly, and we ended up coming down from $23,802 down to current price. We have been as low as 22,500, but we're currently at 22,800. So we've actually gained 300 from the bottom. We have still got the bullishness going on here. We've got the 200-day rolling average here. We powered through, that's the green line, 200-day rolling average. We powered through, that's a very bullish sign. We also powered through the downtrend on my chart here. This is on the logs chart as well. We've powered through that resistance in the bear market. Very bullish sign, honestly, for crypto. Two of those as well. Let me get out of there, sorry. And I don't know if I don't have an RSI on here, but that's definitely looking cool. Obviously, we've got special news, right? The Fed meeting is a special event, so we just have to absorb that. If it, if they do sort of indicate that they're softening their tone, they maybe do another 25% right, 25 basis point rise or 0.25% in March. Maybe the market will well receive that. The trend has been our friend in the last 4 months. The economic indicators, for the most part, particularly wages, starting to show a little bit of crack there. Has been coming down, but of course the employment side of things is still holding up relatively strong. So we're still expecting them to at least get to 5%. The S&P last time in December the 14th, I think it was at 5.1%. So that could potentially mean 75 basis points. But I suspect we will get a 25 basis points now, maybe 25 in March. And then as long as the trend keeps going this way that we've had over the last 3 or 4 months, and employment starts to soften up there, particularly the wage growth. And yeah, let's see how we get on there. So it's still a bit unknown. Obviously, in February, after the Fed meeting, we'll have the January economic data come out, and that will give us a better idea of what March might look like. But the outlook forward statement still, I think, is going to be slightly on the hawkish side. So as long as it's not too hawkish, we might be all right there. All right, so that's kind of where we are on the old Bitcoin. We're going to jump into Hex. Before we do that, though, let's check out a few more comments. Let's see who else is in here. We've got Stake Hex. Let's rock and roll with Superman show, says Stake Hex. Hey, let's do that. Let's rock and roll. Don't have any music for that, but let's rock and roll. Let's do it. Yeah. All right, let's do it. That's for Trayvon there. That's for Trayvon. Welcome. You guys know you guys are very welcome for that. Oh yeah, says BC. Oh yeah. Well, we definitely got the oh yeah. All right, so let's get into it. Let's go into Hex. Hex at the moment. Let's have a look at the time frame. I'm at 48. We got 48 people watching at the moment. 27 minutes into the live stream. Look at this breakdown. A bit sad here on the old Hex chart. We broke through the upward momentum that we had, and down we did, all because of the special event of the Fed meeting. We're currently at 2.527 cents at the moment. This is on the 4-hourly chart. So if we have a look on the daily chart, let's have a look at that. Let's have a look at daily. That's our daily chart there. So unfortunately, we broke that down because of the special event there as well. So let's have a look at the results. Over the buys, 244 buys over the last 24 hours, 156 sells. Can you believe it? So that's 61. So 61% buy volume in the trades. But however, the volume was in the big players, the speculators, the people that want to risk off. They are the ones that sent the market down, and so 65% is the volume there. And so down we came all the way from 2.77 cents on the high down to a low of 2.5 so far. What's the sad part about this is that we were actually trying to attack this 2.8 to 3.1 cent mark, and of course we have been rejected a second time. And normally, if you have if you do get a third chance, you normally have to break it by then. Otherwise, you're going to go down again. So at the moment, that's kind of where we are sitting. We've still got a bullish momentum here, but of course, we would really have to bounce off somewhere about here if we're going to have a chance of doing pretty well. I suspect we're going to just trickle down a little bit for the next day. We'll see. Hopefully we'll get a good news from the Fed, and we might be able to move back up. Otherwise, we could see this waning off without PulseChain testnet V3 coming up there as well. So that's kind of where we are at the moment. Let's jump into. Let's get rid of the old summary and let's pull this out. We can have a bit of a view here. I'm going to drag this in so we can see a bit of a wider time frame. We have got this this medium-term resistance here from our past two peaks. Remember, we're at peak at 7.5 cents approximately, or 7.3 cents, let's say, and 5 cents here, 5 cents in the last one there. So we're trying to break out of this resistance first. Our long-term bear market for Hex is much more dramatic, however. So obviously one of the few coins to make 10,000x, and of course that's what we've got to keep in perspective. And that's that blue line there. That's what we want to break to ultimately break out of that downward trend, that downward bear market for X. So it's going to be a little time, but we do have the catalyst for it. Obviously, we do see, we've seen a lot of circulating supply being taken off the market in 2022, but moving forward, we've got PulseChain and highest stakes and potentially later in the year, possibly, depending on where the Hex price goes. We've got the Hex Investment Trust and other fundamentals like that playing out. So let's have a look here on the chart here. So still got PulseChain testnet V3 any time in February to March. Now, obviously, we've already looked at the updates. We've been getting teasers from Richard Art on the validator, the block explorer, and the syncing of Aragon, running through that phase. I already mentioned that Get's up and running, so that means we've already talked about Lighthouse and Prism, so the consensus clients and the execution clients, and of course that a lot of that stuff had been scaled up with the numbers for trillions of Pulse, and of course that they were doing a lot of testing, and that was going forward. We also had the Dev Bretep give us bullish stuff around the fact that it's very soon, and so they're obviously confident that they're heading in the right direction at a good pace now. And of course, we've got to have a context for that. It's actually pretty impressive at the rate at the moment, because on the 15th September 22, that was when the Ethereum team there forked, and of course we moved to the proof of stake system. So currently, since that time, we're currently 138 days since then. So that's pretty cool. 138 days in that time frame, and of course we're looking forward to getting that testnet up and running. It's a big deal. It's not a trivial thing. First proof of stake fork for Ethereum. That's a pretty big deal, and I don't know if we'll have as much diversification in the clients. So assuming we just have those 4 clients, the 2 execution, 2 consensus ones. We're not doing any of the other clients out there. They remember those for the most part. Those do dominate, the consensus clients and the execution clients on the Ethereum chain. So, but of course, they like to have more, like 4, 5, 6 or more providers, software clients, because it provides more diversity, a lesser tax space. But I think, at the very minimum, you're going to need 2 of each. But do they have more? Well, we'll find out. But in that case, that's the only ones they've talked about so far. And Aragon was the latest one to be done. So that could bode well for a testnet V3 in February or March. I got this going through to middle of March, but I'm still feeling pretty good about potentially getting it in the first half of February. That'd be very bullish for the Hex chart. So we'll just have to wait and see. No one really knows, just speculating there. We've got obviously the Fed rate hike there on the 1st. That's our first Fed rate hike there. And then, of course, expecting 15 basis points on 25 basis points, on March. And then maybe we'll get this one in May, possibly. Obviously, the higher the terminal rate goes, the higher the rate goes to terminal rate, then the bigger impact it has on the real economy, and that of course is lagged, right? Of course, lags, and that's likely to be felt later in the year. So that's why later in the year the themes are going to be recession, they're going to be employment. These are the things, and of course then they're going to impact into the company earnings, and so we're going to see that all flow into company earnings. And stock market particularly will be hit. Crypto is more resilient, right? Because we don't have a lot of those, cost drivers and things like that. So it's going to be interesting to see. Crypto should do relatively better, I would say. But definitely if the terminal rate stops here at 5%, so that'd be a 5% terminal rate. That'd be a 5.25% terminal rate if we get into May. So let's hope we stop here at 5%. Let's hope that January and February's numbers come in nicely. And the trend continues. That's what Power really is looking at, that trend down. And of course that PCE rate, the personal consumption expenditure inflation. Remember this too, CPI, consumer price index, and PCE. The PCE is the one that the Fed's really looking at. And of course that's been coming down quite nicely. And I think even if it doesn't get down to 2%, which is kind of an arbitrary number, they don't really have a goal like that. This is something that got picked up from New Zealand of all places, and a lot of the central banks have copied that and just used it as a general guide. But I guess if they trend down towards that level, then that would be good. It would be good if they do. And so that's kind of where we are there. So we may get the perfect timing for PulseChain launch, because we'll have the top of the terminal rate, even if it's in May. And of course then PulseChain, I've still got that sitting in April to May at the moment, given obviously subject to the testnet first, which we expect. And that may last about 6 weeks at the minimum, I think. I wouldn't see it lasting 2 weeks or so. We'll see. But I mean, they'd have to have a pretty flawless, they're doing all these upgrades, you're doing all these software adjustments, and you get everything synced up, and then you launch, and then you know, how many times do you have no issues with such a complex chain coming up, right? So remember, it's also got system state in it, the system state. So it's not a empty chain. So there's lots of those sort of things, and then you've got PulseX and Block Explorer and everything else. So there's lots of stuff there. So that's kind of where we are at this stage. I think that's still feeling pretty good, this map at the moment, based on the information we have. And of course, the Shanghai ETH withdrawals is optional. We could do that later on. And of course, the V3, we can do that later on too. And Richard gave us a nice hint, which I did pick up on when he said it, about the V2 liquidity and for PulseX. And of course, the advantage of having the V2 version, you need 50-50 of the assets on both sides, right? So if you're doing Hex and USDC, for example, as opposed to asymmetric liquidity provider, where you can just provide one side, so just USDC or just Hex. And by doing a V2, you get access to perhaps one of the tokens that you want that have on the PulseChain, right? You want the valuable tokens on the PulseChain, so that actually helps with that aspect, because you have to put 50-50. You're kind of forced to. So that's kind of cool play. And then maybe later on, with delaying the ETH withdrawals in terms of Pulse withdrawals on the PulseChain, that means more people become validators, put their Pulse in, and that means that you can always put that do that upgrade later potentially. So that's kind of where I see these things might be going at this stage. The other thing, of course, is we had that confirmed by the dev that it's optional there with the upgrade. We can do it anytime we want, basically. The other thing is that we're likely to see a lot of innovation in the validating space, because you do need 32 million Pulse, and of course, not everybody has that. It's about $3,500 worth at the sacrifice time. And so, there'll be innovations in that space. There'll be some providers, helping people to be able to stake their Pulse that way. That being said, of course, we have alternatives. We'll have third-party alternative dApps that you can put your Pulse in. Liquid Loans obviously comes to mind. Fiat, the fork of Aave comes to mind. Things like that. For PulseX now, of course, we have Power City with their new stablecoin, their fork as well. So there's different options out there, top tier options. Obviously, top tier options are people are going to flock to first, right? Because you're more confident in the team and potentially the contract, as opposed to lower order project teams or products. So it's going to be fun to see that. That is where we are at the moment, looking pretty good. We get a perfect timing with the financials, the pivot there, and with the launch of PulseChain, could be very, very good. Still looking good to me. So look at the Hex Whalebot. 43.2 million Hex stake for 31 days. Another one of these short stakers. And of course, remember, after the 16th of February, this is going to be more expensive. So remember that. So after the 16th of February here on Hexfire, this is going to be more expensive. You can see that's expected to jump by 600 Hex per T-share. A very, very, very big deal there. So yesterday I covered unlocking Hex success. Now I did use the Hex calculator. You got to remember that Hex calculator is based on certain assumptions. So just remember that the Hex payout per T-share is I think it was about 6.35, and of course the inflation rate based on 3.69, and of course effective inflation is actually lower. So you got to remember that for that calculator. So it is a guide. But I suspect that the Hex payout per T-share will be much higher in the future than the calculator is indicating. But of course, the inflation is on the lower side, given the effective inflation is lower. So that is kind of where we are there on that one. But in any case, if you're staking, you've got your time is running out to stake before you have to pay this extra cost. So try and stake earlier before that is my suggestion. Obviously, nothing on this channel is investment advice. So that is pretty much happening there, and we see the Hex Gold Whale is coming out. So on the 14th there, Valentine's Day, a very romantic day, but that is when it's coming out there. Now, 5.7 million Hex sold 11 hours ago. No kidding. We can see that in the chart. We had 2 million Hex stake for 1,100 days. Woohoo! That is awesome news. That is worth a celebration. Yeah, you got it. That was very good news. We'd like to see that. That's what Hex is all about, getting those T-shares. And you want to get them in earlier than later. So let's have a look at the staking ladder for Hex at the moment. Let's have a look at that. We're going to scroll right down to the bottom here. Let's scroll down. What the heck is wrong with the site? Look at the site. The site's gone to infinity. The site's kind of, what the heck is that? It's got so many new charts in it. That's crazy. I thought it was gone to infinity, that chart. All right, so let's see what we're up to here. Let's go for the next year ahead. we can see that we've got this big stake coming out, not today, thank goodness, but it's coming out tomorrow. So we've got 281 million coming, 284 million coming out on 31st of January US time, and then we've got this 513 million. Most of this will just get restaked, and they've got it. This is the last time they're going to, be able to do it for 600 hex cheaper, because by the time we get up to the 16th here. Up here, this day here, they're going to be paying 600 hex more per T-share. You got to remember these guys have got hundreds, if not thousands, of T-shares, and that's just the way it goes. So we've got a few little big short-term candles coming out here with all these short stakers. We've been seeing them the last couple of days churn over and restake out longer, so they've been staking out here. You can see these other candles, but then we've got the Hex Godwell here coming out and 2.2 billion. What will it do after that? That's the question. What will it do after that? We're going to find out, see what the Hex Godwell does with that. Anyway, those are the candles in the year ahead. Not too bad for the most part. We've got the 620 million hex out here, the 3rd of September 23. And we've got this one here is 408 million. And we've got a couple of these shorter term stakers here. Mixed bag of stakers, 313 and 335. So obviously when these all go to restake, they'll be paying 600 hex per more T-share. All these stakers here when they go to restake. And that's just what's going to happen there. So cool. Let's jump into the Hedron. Before we do that, let's catch up on the chat. Probably got a few more people. Let's see where we are here. Let me get around here. Brendan says, congrats, Sandy, on the 3,000 followers on Twitter. Yep, our rising star, Sandy. I love it, actually. That's why I talk about it so much, because I think it's great. 3,000 as an army, says Hex. So yeah, it's a pretty good number of people to influence there on the old Twitter. The earnings are via the T-shares, says Hex Huddle. That's true. Thanks, Hex Huddle. Yeah, definitely. PSI says, just messing around. Rio Tinto lost something. I don't know. Probably jumped through that one there, PSI. I'm looking at your Twitter. What? Exactly 3,000. Nice. Well done to Sandy. Again, seems to be the highlight news of today's live stream. It's pretty funny. Morning all. Running late this morning, says Rango. Hey, that's all right. So we all have those time per days. D-Wave says a 10-cent hex. Yeah. Hey, look, we could easily get 10-cent hex if we get enough money pumping through it on the run-up. And, of course, we could even get 20 cents. We've got about 6.7 million on the buy side liquidity. So all you have to have is some big buyers coming on top of that, and away you go. You're going to be climbing up to 10 cents very quickly. That could happen on the Hex chart. We've seen it in the past when the bull market, but we have that PulseChain catalyst, right? That's the big catalyst on that one. Hex Huddle says there's a Hex rap song 2 for $1. I'm not sure if I've actually heard that one actually. Woohoo! Hey Wookie, good to see you. Maybe something to post in Discord there, Hex Huddle. That would be something, or in the chat there. Who else have we got? Francis in the house there. Hi Francis, always a pleasure. Brendan says Godwell is acting like a small OA address with his staking strategies. Yeah, that's interesting, right, Brendan? That is true. That's a very good observation, and of course, it's going to be interesting to see what it does. It is actually changing the ownership pool and the inflation of the APY. So interesting stuff there. Man, Hedron staking for Icosa is awesome in the bear market. Definitely very, very awesome. Francis says, hi, Superman. Hey, hi to you, Francis. Always a pleasure. Yeah, man, that Hedron staking for Icosa is awesome. Yeah, people are very happy with that, and that's making a lot of lots of yield for people. Now, Hedron at the moment, let's have a look at it. So we've got the price is at 14.85. That's actually not down that much, actually. If you think about it, that's not down that much. It's actually held up better than Hex there. We're at 14.85, 3.5% down on 24 hours, 18 buys and 27 sells. That's 60% sell activity on the trades, and the sell volume is very similar. It's about 61%. But the price was up at 15.61, is now at 14.85 and down 3.5%. So actually pretty good there on the Hedron chart as well. So very, very nice. Let's get into the RSI. RSI is around 50, so pretty much in the middle. And of course, the buyers still in control here, but no confirmed trend for the buyers. But they're trying. We've got a decent chart there, kind of moving sideways, but it's just slightly better than sideways. All right, let's get into the HSI Hex HSI auctions. This is in the liquidation queue, I should say. I was about to say oxidation It's a bit like oxygen oxidation there. We got 4,251. You can pull those into the auction. So there's still heaps of them, right? Heaps of them there. Lots of small ones, I think, is probably the issue there. We got 15 that are live in the auction house. Let's see what the T-shares are. I just look at the big ones, so there's lots of smaller ones for people that want to pick those up. We've got 36 T-shares here. An hour to go on that one. 11 T-shares here. We got the 9.6 T-shares, 2.5, 6 T-shares. Those are sort of the big ones here, so maybe there's something there for people that want to look at this. So obviously these are Hex stakes that have got the T-shares locked in there with an older T-share rate, so you can go bid with the Hedron. So that might end up being a very profitable pickup there on those Hex HSIs, especially if the Hex price and the Hedron all that go higher in the future. Next bull run, that would be a very, very good pickup. Dev Huey says that 4 watts are NFTs, so only a certain amount of people hold these, but no one's giving them up hardly. They're very slow burn. 4 watts of NFTs burned in the last 24 hours, 5,061 endpoints. There are now 21,702 watts left. So that's pretty much that. The watts of break-even price 62 to 69 cents here. So people could start burning those once they get into break-even. But why would you do that? Just keep accumulating the yield. I think that's the way to go with that. Let's have a quick look at what the Icosa price is actually, because I haven't actually looked at that one. It's not on my list that I typically look at. So it's at 60 cents. So it's actually holding up pretty well in the old Icosa there. So people got to be pretty happy about that at the moment. Obviously, people would love to see it back over $1. I'm sure that is the case there. So I'm sure in the next run up, we could see that. But in the meantime, you can buy it by just getting more of the yield, right? Or more of the WOTC yield. That's pretty much it. All right, let's get into PulseChain update. Now, we haven't got a lot of news at the moment today. It's just the way it is, folks. But we do have one update from one of the PulseChain teams, one of our AAA product platforms, and that is Fiat. So Fiat is a fork of Aave, obviously one of the big DeFi TVLs in Ethereum. And, of course, we have deployed Fiat version 4 to testnet. This is in the last 24 hours, audit and ETH testnet, and then ETH mainnet. So audit and ETH testnet, and then ETH mainnet. So that is being deployed. So pretty impressive. And that was 3 Arrows Capital there, posted the links to those. So that's kind of cool. I will post the link in the chat there. This is the Fiat version 4. And hopefully I spelled that right. Yeah, it looks all right. So that is the link. Let's have a look here. So let's jump in here. That is the Fiat there. That's the one there. It's the link. You can go check that out. Who else is? We've got a couple more comments, so let's get into that. PSI says maybe we'll get one more chance for cheap Hex before V3. Definitely more chance before that. We're expecting February, maybe early March, but probably more likely February. But we don't know. So yeah, definitely. If the Fed does it more hawkish, then definitely. You didn't mention the fact that all gold and silver were at 0 on the debt clock. No, I didn't. Hexforce 1, so I didn't mention that. I'm actually probably going to do another video on that on the debt clock there, Hexforce 1, so I might talk about it then. Aussie Stone and House there, 21,697 watts is left. That is the latest number. And D Dave says, is the bottom in for BTC, or do we have one more a 50% drop? Well, hey, look, so far it has surprised the market to the upside. So we will see. That Fed really doesn't matter what the Fed does, and then maybe talk about recession and inflation. So we just need a bit more data D-Wave, but definitely the market's holding up pretty well at the moment. Now, is it a bit of a bull trap, you might ask? We'll find out. Due course. Let's go into it. So that is the Fiat one. Let's have a look at the DApp. This is the version 4. So this is the front end here. I hope they do a little bit more upgrade to the UI. This is version 4 here. And of course, what tokens they got in there? Fiat, TPLS, so Pulse, Hex, Pulse Hex, Hedron, Algo, USDC. They'll probably have quite a few others on here by the time they actually, PulseChain's up and running. Still expecting this up maybe for similar time to liquid loans, maybe 4 to 8 weeks after the PulseChain. Presumably they're going to need Oracle calls just like liquid loans, and probably use Stellar as well. as well as probably direct feeds into PulseX and stuff like that. So that's why these have to wait a bit after the launch. All the big DeFi projects that we've got. It's kind of what I call the second wave. If you guys have seen my wave videos in terms of timeline, second wave that these guys come on because they need the market to sort of cool down to get good price calls before they put the contract up. These are immutable pretty much for the most part, and of course you want to get those set up there, so that's going to be pretty cool. Very, very nice. Now, obviously, they have the dashboards. They have deposits. You can deposit and earn interest, and then you can also borrow, and you can go off and do all sorts of leverage plays there. And of course, there's staking. So if you have the Fiat token, if you're lucky enough to get into that quick sacrifice, it's a very small exclusive club with a pretty low sacrifice amount, relatively speaking, to potential upside. Then the staking, you can get those Fiat. This is probably going to be a decent. I think quite a few people may target this particular project in the Fiat because there was such a small amount of people that got in on the sacrifice and the potential upside. So, like I say, the only way that's going to be counted is if there's more DeFi projects. Now, obviously, Power City's in the game. I suspect Power City is going to have a lot more other products come to market, given the suite of utilities that they're already providing. And I definitely think they want to get more into the DeFi play here with leverage sort of banking, because that's where a lot of the TVL gets locked up. And it was good news to hear them. Power City launched the stablecoin with the Liquidity fork and the PLSX. But I do think that they should be looking at forking some of these other big DeFi players in the big banking lending like Aave, Compound and things like that. So maybe they've got something like that in the pipeline. You got to do the big low-hanging fruit first, then get into the more exotic products after that as potentiality. There's a lot of products that are in the traditional markets that, as far as I'm aware, have not yet been brought into crypto. So there's quite an opportunity there for PulseChain to innovate in that space. So it's going to be cool. Right, so that is pretty much that. That is the only PulseChain update I've seen today, which is the Fiat V4. Now let's jump over to the Hex Daily Stats, because I think we've got day 1155 hot off the press, so we're going to get into that. And we're coming up to, what, 52 minutes in the hour, and we've got 57 people watching. Big shout out to everybody watching. Do appreciate all your support. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and smash that button for the like button. Definitely do that and hit the bell. What else we got here? Source 1 says, please hit the like button. Yeah, I agree with that. Hit the like button, please. All right, PSI says, I just don't see how we can get much more crypto FUD than in 2022 to get the 50% bottom. No, we can't really get that. What could happen is that it shifts to the economy is where the issue might be, PSI. Obviously, that's going to affect the stock market more than crypto. But we get enough risk off. Risk off moves the markets down too. So we see that all the time. Unless there's a bearish regulatory decision or something, that's true too. But hey, the regulatory decision would have to be really, really harsh because we've seen that Bitcoin and crypto generally just keep moving through. They get attacked on the regulatory, and they keep moving through there. So definitely the case. Now there is some. I don't suspect we're going to get that now that the GOP controls the House in the United States. That's going to make any. I could have seen the Democrats do some pretty hardcore attack on crypto. They could have possibly done that. So that's definitely possible. So I think we've pushed that off for a little bit. There's obviously still the regulators, but they're also locked up in a lot of the FTX problems. So who knows? Hello, Hexakin, says Raymond. Hope everybody is rich. Thanks, Raymond. We appreciate the sentiment there. It's a family channel, so just remember the family channel. Brendan says, do you think the market is still pricing in 25 basis points? Yeah, that's priced in. I think that's already priced in. So anything different from that or hawkish outlook, would be a problem for the market, and we'd continue to see a sell-off there. PSI 93, I agree with you 100% from Humberto. All right, let's get into it. Day 1155. That's 1,155 days of Hex journey. We're in our second month of the second year. We're very close to getting into our third month of the fourth year. So today, what did I say, second year? We're in the second month of the fourth year, but we're very close to the third month. So we are moving forward in time. We've got the price there, the 30th of January, the price at 2.5 cents there, down unfortunately from yesterday, 8.9%, but really because of the Fed decision coming up there. A pretty pivotal one, the first one for the year, and of course will set the tone as well for where the market might go for the first few months. Payout per Hex there, 6.3 Hex per T-share. Pretty good day in the office there. So if you are getting Hex, obviously you buy Hex, you stake Hex, you get your T-shares, and then you earn the reward. You get Hex payout per T-share from the reward pool. So 6.3 is pretty nice. T-share price is $648. So wow, that's almost $60 or so cheaper than yesterday. The T-share rate is still climbing. It's 12.6 Hex per T-share, and that has gone up to 25,659. The only way to get this cheaper is longer pays better, bigger pays better, and of course, if the longer pays better, you can get up to a third of the price if you go out 10 years. You get 20% more shares per year, up to 200%, so it's pretty good. Average stake length, 6.51 years is the average stake length, so Hexkins once Hexkins have been around for a long time, they're going to be around for a long time, 6.51 years there. The APY, the annual percentage yield rate, the yield and emergency stake penalties, 36.4% is the APY. Awesome stuff. So you can imagine how ROI on that being ginormous. It's massive there. All right. Liquidity in the pool, 238 million Hex in the pool. We did drop below 4 days ago. We dropped below 200 million. We're back up here at 238 million. Obviously, that means there's plenty of Hex for people to get up there as well. This number's still broken from the looks of it. So we're going to move past those liquidities there. Change in T-shares, 2,400 is the increase in T-shares, so that's pretty cool. We're still sitting just below 10.3 million. What are we going to look like when the Hex God Whale comes out? We talked about that earlier when the Hex God Whales comes out, what we're going to look like. Here it is here, that big candle. This thing here, what's going to look like when that comes out, it's going to be fun to see. We're going to go down, down, down. And of course, in the T-shares there, let me jump over to the Hex Day stats. So this could drop dramatically in the T-share pool. Remember, Hex is easy to understand. There's a reward pool with inflation and penalties, and then there is a ownership pool with T-shares, stands for trillions of shares. And of course, this is if the ownership pool goes down quite a lot, then the Hex payout per T-share is going to go up because there's less owners around to claim their share. So it's kind of cool. We could see a nice little jump up there. We saw that go down. Remember, it could be even a bigger jump possibly when it doesn't restake. Now, if it restakes, obviously that's still going to impact the reward pool. So penalties there, 1.15 million in Hex penalties. So another good day for Hex stakers. So you buy Hex and you stake Hex. Check out hex.com in the video description. If you have any more questions, get into our Discord. We've got plenty of people that can help you out there. And if you need help onboarding, that's cool. Now, remember, do your own investment due diligence. Nothing on this channel is investment advice, of course. A change in the current holders, up 44. On Etherscan, there's 317,411 wallet holders there on Etherscan for the Hex contract. And, of course, the current stakers up a nice number again today, 48 to 118,114. Last couple of days have been quite good. Before that, we had pretty soft days. Richard Hart always says get out there and do direct promotions, spread the word, as it were. And, of course, total holders up 215 to 526,013. So very, very nice there. Let's get into the day. We're on day 1156, towards the end of the second month of the fourth year. And our payout there, base payout, is around about 6.243 Hex per T-share. So the more T-shares you get, the more Hex you get. And, of course, obviously, that's a great yield payoff. Obviously, if the price of Hex recovers and goes back up towards higher prices, then you get that price yield as well. And so, the Holy Grail is getting both the yield and the price. And, of course, time in the market can often do that for you. So that's kind of cool. That is the stats today. Pretty exciting. Let's jump back over to the Hex chart there. We're going to move to the 15 minutes. We're going to auto log that and pull it up there. That is our 15-minute chart there. We're currently at 2.527 cents there. We'll see how we get on over the next wee while because we've got the countdown 1 day and 18 minutes to go. So let's see, is this next day and 18 hours going to impact the crypto markets more, or is it already done its pullback? Is it going to hamper the Hex price for the next day and a half, or is it going to have a bit of recovery? We will see. Definitely broken that uptrend, and now our next support line, getting down for our support line here. Let me go to the 4 hourly charts a bit better, easy to show. The 4 hourly there. Support line is way back down here. So let me just pull that down. So it's way back down at about 2.2, 2.3 cents there. So we can always go down to at least that, I would think, if it is going to go down. At the moment, otherwise, hopefully it looks like it will stabilize. It's kind of the bullish side. It will stabilize there now that it's done a sort of pullback. But hey, look, I think that the 2.2, 2.3 is definitely possible over the next day and a half. If the market decides to keep on risking off itself, we will see. Nothing's inevitable. Just something to think about there. Actually, did I pull up the RSI before? I can't remember if I did. Let's go to daily and pull up the RSI. RSI broke that trend, so it's still pretty high there at 50, but definitely a nice little uptrend there as well. All right, let me go back to the 15 minute. Let's go to hourly chart. Why not? There's the hourly chart there at the moment. All right, what other comments we got? Let's have a look. Let's go through those. Humberto says, I love Richard, but I think this time he's wrong. I believe that this cycle we will not see that 85% dip. Well, it's definitely not. It's not looking likely at the moment, is it? But we've got challenges in the year ahead, and they. So his is kind of was based on like a year later. Your standard build period, year later, and a kind of a 85% dip. But we have got we still have issues ahead, and like I say, maybe less the crypto market and more the real economy, and that's kind of where we may see the shift in terms of downward market. I was on the local news last week rocking a Hex hoodie with over 300,000 views. Remember to spread the word when you can, folks. Nice one there, Stake Hex. That's a good way of doing it. Well done on that one. Like always, awesome stream set, man. Actually, tonight I'm watching from the beautiful Dominican Republic back in sunny Miami in a couple of days, but I follow you from wherever I am. Hey, nice one, Humberto. I do appreciate that. Big shout out to you. Hey, look, it's the community is what makes this place rock, and you guys are all a part of it, so very, very cool. Let us see here. The crowd is happy. Clap for you guys. That's yourself clapping yourself. That's the crowd applause there. All right. Let's go. So that's where we're up to. How are we doing for time? We're up to an hour. So we're probably going to wrap up now because it is a pretty light news day. Like I said, the only really news that we had today was the Fiat version 4 upgrade here. That is on the PulseChain side. Obviously, we've got the markets generally pulling back in terms of the Fed. The Fed is coming up in about an hour and 18 minutes. That is pretty much it. And if you're looking to stake, I strongly suggest that you stake before, let's say, the 14th, because it's going to jump up there by 600 hex per TShare, so it's just going to cost you more. It's pretty much that. So I do encourage, suggest, I should say. That's probably the right terminology there. 2.517 on the hex price here. Yeah, my worry about the hex price is that it may continue to go down, maybe bounce off 2.2, 2.3. That is the downside risk at the moment that we face on the hex chart. Nothing's inevitable though, but that's we've still got a day and a half or so to go before the Fed meeting. Makes what markets do, unfortunately. It's just the way it goes. Raymond says, oops, sorry, Setman. What's you sorry about there, Raymond? I can't see anything that you should be sorry about. Let me go up to Raymond there. You're talking about the the family channel. Yeah, definitely family channel. That's true. All right, we're up to an hour and 3 minutes. We're probably going to wrap up there. We might leave it, just watch the chart for another minute. We're at 2.51 cents. Let's see whether the speculator and risk off people continue to sell us down, given the fact the Fed's coming up here. We'll see. Sometimes it can bounce back. Like I say, nothing's inevitable, but the trend is a bit more, probably more down than up, or moving sideways at the moment. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, smash the subscribe button, hit the like button as well, and of course hit the bell for future videos. If you want to get into our Discord, it is free. We've got all the information about PulseChain and Hex ecosystem, and all the PulseChain projects are there. You can find all the information as well, and it's all free. Get in there, community chats as well, that you can get into audio chats and have a chat with everybody else, ask questions, talk about strategies, talk about new projects. It's all there, and very, very cool place to be. If you want to join this channel as a supporter, hit the join button. We've got Pulsicans, the Hexkins, and the Richard Heart Club. And of course, I'm streaming every single day, PulseChain and Hex, And of course, trying to look to do more specialty videos. Just got to get my A into G and get those done. All right, we're going to wrap it up here. I hope you guys have a good time. Take care, everybody. Let us see. We're going to end this on, and I'll see you guys later. All right, bye for now. Take care.